right, everyone, it's 10 o'clock, but I'm going to give a few more minutes for people as they're joining in. So please be patient, and I will get started here in just a few minutes. Thank you.
Good morning. How are you?
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to the October OCCAP meeting. I'm glad that you are all here with me today to celebrate our success over 2020, despite all the obstacles, we'll call it, that everyone encountered. And I just want to say a big thank you to every single ROI speaker that has spoken in person. Both in person and
Shelly K.
Hi, Shelly.
Oh no, I'm Lonnie. Sorry, I need to change my name. Rename. Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah.
And so I want to say a big thank you to all of our ROI speakers and
then Lonnie, Bianco, Adrienne.
I'm gonna mute Lonnie. Sorry. Please make sure your microphone's on mute, just so practicing our virtual edit, right? Etiquette. And so I'm really glad that despite COVID challenges that we all have been able to persevere in our own ways, depending on what sort of organization you are associated with. And being able to continually provide services to the community and the reentry community and also their families, because they are our most at-risk population, especially during this time. So we have two special guests today who are going to be speaking. We have Ruben Ledesma, who's here. He's going to be our ROI speaker. I've had the pleasure of working with Ruben for the last 3 years, and he's actually my reentry mentor. And so, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have actually even found CAP. So he is actually the one that introduced me to LA CAP, the original chapter. So, it's very special that he's here with me today, or with us today, and is going to be speaking. And then we also have Sean, who's going to be talking about gang injunctions. So I'm really excited, and I know a lot of you have shared that you were really excited to hear about this topic and things like that. I have a lot of updates at the end that I'll be sharing, but to just go ahead and start, and so we're going to just go into rapid fire introductions. And so I'm going to start off with, let's see, who's first up? I'm going to start off with Ms. Lori. Can you please tell me which organization you're with, any updates you have for COVID, or any other updates that you'd like to share? And take it away.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lori Friedman, and I'm with Revolution Financial Management. Sorry, guys, I'm driving back from an appointment. And what I do is I teach financial education. So we believe that we will turn your financial goals into reality. And glad to be here and to help anybody that is interested in turning their financial goals into reality. Thanks, Megan.
Awesome, Lori. Thank you. Ms. Lonnie. You want me to unmute for you? I'll unmute.
Garden Grove Employment Specialist. You are unmuted. Oh.
Yep, I muted you, so now we can hear.
Sorry. Yes, so we're here.
Oh, okay. Can you, sorry, not everyone heard you. I just unmuted you.
Oh, okay. I'm Lonnie Tianko, and I have my team here, Adrian and Didin. We're from the One Stop Center in Garden Grove, Employment Specialist Team, to help job seekers find employment. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Lonnie. Is there any updates you want to share? I know you
Yes.
shared
I'd like to share that we have money for on-the-job training. So if there's any employer that are interested that we can help, we're here to we can connect with us. So I can send I can send again the flyer of the on-the-job training so we can get familiar to the services that we offer here at the One Stop Center.
Okay.
So we'll send it to you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Lonnie.
Thank you, Megan.
All right, Derek.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Derek Mendez with VetNet program at Working Wardrobes. I wanted to let everybody know that we're still fully open and able to assist our HVRP clients, which is our homeless veterans, as well as VetNet clients with full supportive services. We're doing in-person intakes and wardrobing still. We have taken COVID precautions, but our business is still the same. Since COVID started, we've actually helped 38 clients gain employment, and we're not slowing down our mission to help veterans. Thank you, Megan.
Awesome. Thank you, Derek. Commander Balecki.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I wasn't sure if my computer was working or not. Just a quick update on COVID in the jail population. Our population is stable around 3,600 on a daily basis. We had an uptick for a while. We've kind of brought that back down because we're working closely with the prison system. We currently today have 5 individuals that are positive for COVID out of our entire population. And 4 of those are new booking quarantine. So we've been very successful in mitigating the problem and keeping our incarcerated population safe and healthy. As soon as the governor brings our threat level down to orange, we will open up public visiting and resume that. And that will also allow us to do a little bit more programming. We've been working with UCI for them to get a grant to do a study on our 18 to 25-year-old population. That grant has been received. It'll be a 3-year study. The population we have right now should be able to support that program. We'll be doing a study on about 80 or to 90 individuals, and that's going to heavily involve your folks. All of our participants that want to come in with lived experience will be excellent for that population to come in and work with them as part of that study. So as soon as we get that up and running here in the next month or so, We'll be reaching out to some of the individuals that were interested, and we'll start bringing them in.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Commissioner Legge. That's really exciting news, and I'm glad that you guys are doing whatever you can to mitigate the spread of coronavirus in our system. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. All right, let me see who's next on my, Sean, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name's Sean Garcia-Lays. I'm a civil rights lawyer. I work mostly in LA and Orange County, and my practice focuses on gang databases, gang injunctions, things involving gangs on the civil side. I also testify as a gang expert in immigration court on occasion. And I was asked to join today to talk a little bit about legal issues involving formerly gang involved and the reentry population.
Awesome. Thank you, Sean. Miss Anne-Marie Beck.
Hi, everybody. My name is Anne-Marie Beck. I am the coordinator and I oversee the LIFE program, Liberated Intellects for Excellence program on Cypress College's campus. We provide a number of services. One of my student leaders, Charles Harris, is going to go over those students, those services with all of you. We also have a club on our campus, Fight Club, From Incarceration to Empowerment Club. We serve formerly incarcerated, system impacted, and we also want to start serving substance abuse recovery students on our campus. We also have some upcoming events. We have our 3rd annual Lift Up event, and I'm going to put a flyer and an RSVP link, as well as 2 resource fairs. So we're going to have a panel of students all the way from first year at Cypress College, all the way up to PhD programs, sharing on their experiences as formerly incarcerated students receiving a higher education. So we hope to see you there, and don't forget to RSVP.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anne-Marie. I believe I have, Tara had sent me the flyer for the resource fair, so I know I have that at the end of the slide deck too. Or Tara's here too, so she can also, Tara, why don't you go next?
Thank you.
Hey everybody, I'm a student leader for the LIFE program. I'm a mentor. I've been at Cypress for around almost 3.5 years now. And I'm looking to finish up here, hopefully in the spring, fingers crossed. But I'm so excited about this LIFE program and, the support that we bring for the future of system impacted and previously incarcerated, and those who struggle with addiction. Huge, yes. So I'm excited to be a part of that and be a mentor, and yeah.
Awesome.
That's who I am. Thank you.
Thank you, Tara. Victor?
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Victor Moreno. I'm the job developer here at the Santa Ana DRC. Right now we are currently open by appointment only. We're taking new intakes. We've, still in business, thankfully. And, I'm looking forward to listening to all of the resources you guys have to offer and provide. And yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Victor. Charles?
Hi, good morning. My name is Charles Harris. I'm representing Cypress College's LIFE program, that's Liberated Intellects for Excellence. I am also a student mentor as well as a student. We serve justice involved students as well as system impacted students, because we believe that education lowers the recidivism rate significantly. I am a direct result of our services that we offer. We also provide textbook vouchers, emergency gift cards, peer mentoring. We have regular community meetings. We also have student leader drop-in Zoom hours based on COVID, where students can actually log in and speak with the member if they need some guidance. We're also on Facebook, we're on Instagram. And if you need any additional information, you can email lifecypresscollege@gmail.com. And again, I represent the LIFE program, and I am a direct beneficiary of the services that Cypress College offers for justice involved or system impact students. I've completed our addiction studies certificate program, and I shall receive my AA degree in May of 2021. Thank you.
Well, congratulations on going to be receiving your certificate in the spring. And thank you for being a model of Cypress's program, help. W. Salcido, I think that's what I see on the screen. That's the name. Oh, okay. Okay, no audio. Don? That's okay. Okay, Don, would you like to share who you are?
I don't have a mic.
Oh, okay.
I'm here reentry.
Oh, okay, well, welcome.
Oh, thank you.
All right, Danielle with 211OC.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Danielle. I work for 211 Orange County. As far as any COVID updates, our team is still working from home, but again, our helpline is always open 24/7. If you have any clients that live near the fires that have been happening in Irvine, we have live updates all the time. So if anyone needs help with that about evacuation routes or needing to help shelter their pets or anything like that, they can call us at 211. And basically that's what's been keeping us busy is the fires and the power shutoffs. But again, our helpline's available 24/7 for anyone that needs it.
Awesome, thank you so much, Danielle. I see Family Promise Center. Let me see this. Sorry, the screen's very far away. I'm not sure. Someone with Family Promise is on the title. If you'd like to introduce yourself. All right, I will circle back to you. Hopefully you have a mic. Randy Wortman, how are you, sir?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Randy with the Back to Work program. That's the program that works alongside of Caltrans here with our partner in Orange County, Chrysalis. I believe gentleman's on this call too. So let everybody know that during COVID we've been able to keep everybody employed, even to teleworking along the way for folks that needed that. So it's been a great and interesting experience, and we continue to go out there and provide employment for folks in our program. We're proud to do that. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Randy. I'm glad we were able to make a meeting. I know it's always challenging for you, but I'm glad you were able to make it. Miss Jenilyn.
Hi, everyone. So sorry. I was having video issues here, but thank you so much for having me, Megan. I am Jenilyn Santos with Chrysalis. I am the Community Engagement Coordinator for our Orange County office. We don't really have any updates that I haven't shared, I don't think, but we're still operating virtually. All of our programs are still going. Thanks to Randy for making sure that our roads crew, which is our program specifically for our reentry individuals, but they made it so that some of our clients are doing they were doing virtual trainings to make sure they were still getting those hours, but we were able to kind of get everything back to normal-ish through social distancing and things like that. So our roads crews still doing their amazing job, but our employment specialists are still doing the same work that they were doing pre-COVID. All the resources are, if not the same, maybe even better. We've definitely opened a lot of those resources up, specifically transportation. I may have mentioned this before, but previously it was just bus passes that we were able to help our clients with finding employment. But we've opened that up to being able to order them lifts, which is super helpful because I'm sure everyone knows that the public transportation in Orange County is not the best or most reliable sometimes. So making sure that our clients are able to get to job interviews on time has been really, really helpful with Lyft. And also being able to provide them gas cards if they have their own transportation and they just need a little bit of gas to get them where they're going. That's been really helpful too. We are closed for in-person services, but we do our best. If a client does absolutely need a resource that needs to be picked up, we'll do a resource pickup on Fridays is usually when we kind of schedule those, but we just are trying to make sure everyone is as safe as possible during this pandemic. So if we can mail something to a client or email it to them, that is exactly what we're going to do. But if anyone has any questions about our services, I will put my information in the chat along with our flyers that Megan is so amazing to share in the meeting recaps as well, but I'll make sure that it's in the chat too. But thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, gentlemen. How about Agent Sabota?
Hey, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, good morning.
Oh, good. I'm Jennifer Swoboda. I'm the parole agent specialist for Orange County for the Anaheim and the Irvine office. Everything's going okay with parole, no closures due to COVID like we had earlier in the season, so that's good. The biggest news for us, we have our clothing closets open at the parole offices for anyone who needs free clothing. We have free hygiene for anyone who's transient or in need. And I guess the biggest news for us is that we've partnered with Families Together of Orange County, and we now have a free mobile medical clinic at the parole office every month. This year, for the remainder of 2020, it will just be at the Anaheim office, which is going to be the second Monday of each month. November will be the third Monday due to Veterans Day. And it's for parolees, but if you know somebody who's on probation who needs free medical care, we're not going to turn anyone away. They're doing vaccinations, they're doing COVID testing, they're doing prescriptions, full medical exams. They have referrals for eye care, you name it. There's really nothing they don't do, and it's 100% free. So that's going to be every single month now at the parole office. We're going to expand to Irvine in 2021. And I'm super excited. And the next thing we want to get going is we want to do a free food giveaway at the parole office. So I'm currently looking for partners. If anyone has any suggestions, please reach out. I'll try to put my email in the chat for everyone. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jennifer. And you're doing such great work with wanting to get the clinic and the food available to the parolees in Orange County. I really appreciate all what you're doing for the community. Ms. Carol Urey.
Good morning, everybody. Carol Urey, Returning Home Foundation. Continuing work with 211 OC. Just a reminder that your folks can not only call 211, certainly go online, but you can text it as well with your zip code to 898211. Obviously, the resources that we've been able to give to people up to and starting Monday, actually, were the fire. We have power turnoffs and so forth, mostly for your folks. You also can get 211 ride to plan how to get travel throughout Orange County. In addition to that, we're working with putting together a flyer for those who will be changing their registration as sex offenders starting January 1st, 2021. That's the SB 894 group. Bill, I will be creating some flyers. I will make sure that they're on the website. A lot of people have a lot of questions about the changes that will be coming about. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, Carol. You're always a wealth of knowledge and things that are happening in the community. So I always appreciate you joining the meetings. Thank you. Ms. Megan Medlin.
Hold on.
You there, Megan?
Oh, I'm not unmuted. Perfect. Hi. Technical difficulties this morning. Megan Medlin. I'm a consultant, Medlin Workforce Reentry and Workforce and Solutions. Sorry, I can't talk this morning. I help organizations with programming, so development or in management of programs, development, grant writing, grant management, training, staffing, all sorts of things. And then also just launched a new nonprofit called Hire, which is the hub for integration, reentry, and employment. And so we are still kind of grassroots right now, but we are working on a voting project with UCI and Stanford to help, it's a research study to get how to engage disenfranchised voters with the process. So right now we're just trying to get people to opt into the study. And I'll put the information in the chat as well. And hopefully you guys can help spread the word, because the more people that participate, the better. And people that enter can win a $100 Amazon gift card just for participating, which is essentially receiving text messages for the next 4 or 5 days. And it's not a lot of text messages. So if you guys can help spread the word, that would be great.
Awesome. Thank you, Megan. I know I put it on both HumanWorks and CAP's social media pages. So if anyone wants to grab the flyer, sure, another way besides grabbing it in the chat if you forget, it's going to be there. And then also we'll put it in the meeting minutes just so everyone also has that information, because I think it's really important. So thank you, Megan. Let's go to Miguel.
Good morning, everyone. Miguel Canto here with Hope Builders, where we connect young adults 18 to 28 to career opportunities. We have a construction training program set to begin next Monday, and we are still accepting applications at this time. So if you know of anyone between 18 to 28 years old that's looking to launch their career in construction, please connect them with me. I'll provide my contact information in the chat. And for anyone interested in getting started with any of our other training programs, all of them will be set to start at the beginning of the new year. So again, at Hope Builders, we connect young adults 18 to 28 to career opportunities, providing life skills, soft skills, and hard skills training.
Awesome. Thank you, Miguel. So there's only one person that I didn't get, and that was Family Promise. I don't know if maybe your mic's working. If not, then not the Family Promise of Orange County. Okay. Just move on to the next part of the agenda, and that's our lovely ROI speaker and my mentor, Mr. Ruben Ledesma. I don't think I've ever called him Mr. Because we all know I'm super informal. Sorry. So I've personally had the privilege of working with Ruben, like I said, for the last 3 years up in LA with Goodwill, both on the city and the Department of Labor grant. And so, like I said at the beginning, I know those of you are joining late. He's actually the reason why I basically got into what I'm doing today, which is, not just helping people find employment or training opportunities, with employment barriers, but wanting to have a voice for those who, in the reentry community specifically, just because I feel that they need more support than a lot of other individuals, and it's a very diverse set of needs that is not just one thing. And so, he's really, like I said, how I got into, actually even introduced to CAP Alliance. He's the one that brought me to my first meeting, and then, here I am now running the Orange County chapter. So Ruben is someone who's very, special in my life, and I'm really pleased that he was able to make it down here and be our closing speaker for 2020. It's been a very interesting year. Ruben, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of your journey and kind of what brought you to your path today? After Ruben speaks, then we're going to get into Sean's presentation on gang injunction. So,
yeah, good morning, everyone. What an amazing day it is, regardless of everything that's going on. Go Dodgers, right? Yeah, the journey's been amazing for me.
Miguel likes that.
I was raised in the Northeast San Fernando Valley, grew up in the housing projects. And one of the things that I always say that when you grow up in a very harsh environment like the housing projects, you grow up with this ideology that you have to either choose between a life of crime or a life of poverty. And sometimes those two ideologies lead you, in a direction that, that you probably don't want to. Growing up in the projects, everything, violence and gangs and all that was the norm. And so for me, getting involved in street gangs was not a difficult decision to make. And by the time I was 14, 15 years old, I was already, involved with, the prison gangs. And my life consists of taking orders from individuals at a very high level. And I enjoyed the money. By the time I was 18 years old, I was already involved with the cartels up in Mexico, and just enjoying myself, traveling the world and living a life that I really was taking me away from my authentic self. Years go by, and I end up getting arrested for trying to, shooting someone for, just trying to win an argument. And during my time in jail, there was a paradigm shift that allowed me to see things from a different perspective. After being released, I was able to meet an individual, Gene Jackson, former Black Panther organizer and community activist at the time, that really challenged me to search for my authentic self. And one of the things he always said, like, Ruben, you've done many things, but you've done them under a certain script, under a certain life script that wasn't really you. He challenged me to actually go back to school, and I ended up, a couple years later, I ended up graduating from UCLA with a degree, and ended up getting a job with the mayor's office. And my community work began in working for the Los Angeles Housing Authority for 17 years, got the opportunity to go into every single housing projects, I would call them ground zero, and develop programs, that were effective, develop programs that to fit the needs of a particular community. I ended up getting involved with athletes and entertainers. I worked with Goldie Hawn. I worked with the Laker organization, and soon after became a consultant with the Department of Labor. I ended up traveling. I ended up working with the city of New York, the city of Boston, and several cities throughout the country. And I also, one of the things that I really wanted to do was teach. I also was able to teach at the charter high school level, at the JC level, and last year I was able to participate in certain projects throughout different universities throughout the California area. And recently I'm working with an organization out in the Northeast San Fernando Valley. It's called People in Action for Community. And I am trying to build a healing center out in the Mojave Desert. I partnered up with the Raider organization and a couple of former retired NFL players that have been extremely helpful to garner the funds that are going to be necessary to build a healing center for the reentry population. Recently, I also worked with Megan under the banner of Goodwill and the Department of Labor, where we coordinated a very successful reentry program. And let me see, right now, there's just so much work to do, and I'm really excited to be here. I know this is my story. I leave so much out, but I'm looking forward to working with you guys. And if there's any questions, I'm more than happy to answer some of the questions. And again, thank you for having me here. I don't know if I must have left a lot of things out, but I don't know the time. I don't know how much time we got. But again, my story is one of a kid that just grew up with no direction to, you know, someone that really genuinely understood the need and the potential that we all have to create a paradigm shift that allows us to understand this third option. And the third option that I always talk about is, like I said earlier, you know, sometimes you grow up with thinking that you have to choose between life of crime and poverty, but these are the groups that introduce the third option. We don't have to choose between those two negative ideologies. If we have the resources and the mentorship and the individuals with the capacity to introduce someone to a different thought process, you know, things could change, but we definitely need these type of groups. We definitely need these type of dialogues to be able to create such opportunities for individuals that without this probably would take a very negative direction in life.
Thank you, Ruben. That was like probably the shortest description or story, like your story that you ever have given, and maybe it was the way I set it up. You were a little concerned about time. There's so many things that he's leaving out. I mean, over the last 3 years, he's shared so many different stories with me, and I still learn different things about where he grew up. We could probably just have a whole 2021 series of Ruben's life lessons. Again, I've just been so blessed to have him come into my life when he did, and kind of show me, you know, this community, and kind of enlighten me, so to speak. And I think that that's the biggest thing that the community needs to understand, is that a lot of people are just as impacted, and it's not, there shouldn't be such a stigma attached to it. Ruben is actually the engineer of the Leadership Academy, which is the cognitive piece in the program that we do together. And so, you know, that is one of the most pivotal pieces, I believe, in setting up prior to our customer service training that we do in Goodwill, and really helps change the mindset and preps them prior to our training. And so, you know, he is, again, just a genius. And the fact that he understands where a lot of the participants are coming from, or the people that he's speaking to, and he has so much, you know, experience being in the gangs. You know, he left out the fact that he works with Grid in LA and helps with diffusing, you know, gang disputes, and the fact that he left out, I mean, so many different things. But the other main thing that he left out, which just left my brain, unfortunately. The other thing that he left out was, wow, gang disputes, that, I'm trying to think the other.
Safe passage, all the safe passage programs that we have out there.
Yes, the safe passage programs. And then the last thing would be, it went in my brain, it's all back out.
We're also, yeah, I'm also working with many of the probation, parole departments out there, law enforcement out there, providing technical training. One of the things that I always, you know, when you bring individuals from the street to speak to law enforcement, sometimes it's just that level of communication that sometimes we forget that, you know, each group has different dynamics of communication. And being able to sit everybody at the table down and break those dynamics is really extremely helpful. Like for instance, I always tell some of the guys that, have just recently been released, and they're like, well, I don't want to get involved with law enforcement. I don't want to talk to law enforcement. But, I always tell them, look, a lot of the things that happens, especially in law enforcement, is that, there's penal codes and there's things that, that they move by. Either, you get pulled over, either you break the law or you didn't break the law. And it's so black and white, where a lot of times on the other side, there's so much gray. And being able to understand that black and white side and all the gray side, and, bringing everybody to the table, understand those dynamics, is extremely helpful, to bring everybody to the table and build those programs that allow everybody to be successful. So those are one of the things that I've been working on for a long time. And again, I've been at it for about 30 years now. I am 52 years old, so it's been a while. It's been a long journey for me, and again, I'm looking forward to continuing to use those skill sets that I have and my experience to help any agency or anyone for that matter to create this paradigm shift that I think that's very, very important for us to move forward in creating a better lifestyle for everybody.
So the thing that kept escaping my brain, which I think that you always talk to me about, obviously I don't have any experience within our justice system, but I think for a lot of the individuals that we serve is they're wanting to make that transition, but they're half in and half out. And I believe what Ruben has shared with me, and if you could share with the group, that half in, half out mentality, you were doing community work, but yet you were still kind of connected. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things that reaches a lot of the individuals that they're halfway there to making that change in their lives, but they're not 100% there. So if you wouldn't mind sharing that.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, as you guys know, everyone's trying to develop that bridge, that bridges the gap. And so a lot of times, this is very important to understand crisis intervention, to be able to help someone understand their script, right? A lot of times when you grow up in those type of environments, you're following a certain script, which is, you gotta hate the police officers, and you gotta hate the system, and you gotta do this and do that, without actually ever giving the system an opportunity to work for you, right? And so this is why it's extremely important to go through those process of eliminating, those cognitive distortion that allows us to kind of hurt ourselves. And one of the things that, as I put together the Leadership Academy, I really enjoyed writing a lot of the curriculum, because the curriculum really builds that gap that makes the individual understand their own deficiencies. A lot of times we tend to blame the system, and I always tell them, the system is not broken, and we need to stop saying the system is broken. The system is built the way it is, and if you learn to navigate through it, I mean, can the system need some adjustments? Of course. I mean, that's just the way it is, right? But for the most matter is how do we teach each other to use whatever tool set that we have in this particular day, that we have so many people that are constantly complaining about the system, but no one really takes the time to really garner some of the positive things that the system does for people. I mean, you guys are evidence of that, and we have nonprofit organizations with so many services that will help the population we're serving. We have law enforcement. I believe that law enforcement has come a long way, and they've actually done an amazing job in how they communicate with the community. I mean, is the media sometimes over exaggerates certain things, and there are things that are happening. But I mean, I come from the 80s when we had the crash unit in Los Angeles, and I actually grew up in the Northeast San Fernando Valley and knew the officers that beat up Rodney King personally, you know, so I mean, I come from seeing the worst, but so sometimes, you know, just being able to understand and understanding the system and how it works for you, how best it works for you is extremely, extremely important. And for a lot of the people we work with, they have a really hard time understanding how that works in their favor. But the system is actually not broken. We just have to navigate through it and understand how best it's going to work for us.
Awesome. Thank you, Ruben. Does anybody have any questions for Ruben?
Hey, Megan, it's Jennifer Swoboda. I have a question if you can hear me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Ruben, thank you so much for presenting today. Really appreciate all your information. And did I hear you correctly that you're going to start a reentry center?
Yeah, well, I just recently put together a reentry program for Goodwill in collaboration with the Department of Labor. But yeah, what we want to do is I'm working with the Raiders on trying to get a $5 million grant to start a healing center out in the Mojave Desert. The goal is to take individuals from California. I'm focusing really in, you know, Los Angeles, you know, San Bernardino, Orange County area, and taking individuals out to the Mojave Desert and providing services for up to 3 months. So they'll stay at the Mojave facility for 3 months, come home for 1 month, go back for 3 months, and then come home for a month, and then go back for 3 months, a total of 9 months. And you know, I've teamed up with individuals like author Luis Rodriguez, author of the book Always Running. I don't know if you're familiar with that. So also with former NFL player Randall Cunningham and Warren Moon that will be helping with that project. So we should be breaking ground pretty soon, and it'll probably take us about 1.5 years before we have the facility up. But you know, it's just, you know, the money, we've already raised about $2 million on that. So you know, it's been an amazing journey to be able to create something. I always believe that, you know, for a lot of these individuals that we're talking about, it's really difficult to try to change that paradigm shift or change that script in their neighborhood. It's really difficult. And for me, I was privileged to, you know, when I went through my transformation, it didn't happen in the neighborhood I grew up with. I had to get away for a couple of years and kind of go through that process myself. So in that spirit, I also want to create something that allows that individual that's really serious about their life and providing a platform where they could go and just kind of go through that transformation. So yeah, that should be happening pretty soon. I also work with an organization out in Colorado. It's called the Eagle Rock Professional Learning Academy. If any of you guys are interested, it's for kids 14 to 17, some 18-year-old kids. It's really a high school up in the Estes Park, Colorado Mountain. It's extremely beautiful campus. It's I work with the Honda Foundation. It's a $50,000 scholarship that the individual will receive, and they run the same program. They send the kid up to Colorado. They stay there 3 months, come home for a month, and go back 3 months until they get their high school diploma. Once they get their high school diploma, the school actually provides them a grant where they choose either to stay there in the Colorado area to pursue their education, or come home and pursue their education here in whatever state they're from. So I kind of took that same model, and I'm building that same design up in the Mojave Desert.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. Okay, thank you. And then just real quick, I don't want to dominate all the time. Do you work with ARC?
I've worked with them in the past. I haven't personally worked with under that umbrella, but I've worked with them in the past, yes. With Scott Busnet?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Does anybody
Yeah,
else have
I'm just trying to figure out,
Oh, we cut out, Jennifer?
oh, sorry, just last question. I just if you knew our county and to come to Orange County at any point. We really need ARC and Orkney.
I'm sorry, can you repeat your
I
question?
think she's talking about ARC in Orange County. It must be our connection. Or your connection. Okay, do we sound okay? Do we sound okay?
You guys sound fine.
Okay, it must be Jennifer. Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions for Ruben before we go to Sean?
Yes, Bobby May, can you hear me?
Hi, Bobby.
Hi, look, I'm finally made it. So therefore, thank you so much, Ruben. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity because, you know, here we are on the front line here at Goodwill doing what we do best. So just to let you know, I've been with CAP for a good while now, and I'm glad to see the things that CAP has done. I watched it grow since the time I've been at Goodwill. So I would say as of December the 13th, it would be 4 years for me. So since I've gotten here, I've seen so many people get jobs out of the community of downtown, and Goodwill has put them to work and given them opportunity to give back to the community, which we do as a community here at Goodwill, and I thank God for that. Now, I was looking at your logo or what was here, Ruben speaking, and it says, where did you grow up at? And my title was, I grew up in Los Angeles. First of all, being a part of Los Angeles, yes, I'm Lakers, Dodgers, and all that, down to earth, yes. Okay, so we grew up in Los Angeles, let's say. And what led you down the path you ended up in, the justice system? I was a foster kid, yes? So being a foster kid, yeah, somebody saying something?
Yeah, it's me, Bobby. It's Megan. So that was just a setup for Ruben because he was the one that was speaking. I'm glad that you were able to join us. Did you have a specific question for Ruben? Because we're running tight on time, and I want Sean to be able to present about gang injunctions, and then we're going to go into wrapping things up about any events that are going to be happening. Sorry,
Yes. The only thing I have for Ruben is that I appreciate what he's doing for the community because being homeless for 35 years, I come to find out that if it wasn't for Goodwill giving me my first job, the system didn't do it. It was Goodwill that came out of nowhere and gave us jobs. And I watched many of them as I've been here all those years. I watched over 1,500 some people get jobs here at Goodwill from off the streets and come out of jail and get jobs. And I thank God for Ruben because I watched many of his classes of his graduations and showed up for many of them because I grew up with many of them being homeless 35 years. Ruben made many of them go to work, or they went to work, and they came out of jail. That was the best thing that could ever happen for the community because it never happened nowhere else. Anybody other than Goodwill that has given them that position, and now we got the 5 Key, and 5 Key is doing a good job. So it's so much more that Goodwill is doing right here. I call this the building of hope because, like I said, this is my first job. They gave me a tool, and I'm learning how to do the Zoom thing, so thank God I won't say no more. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you, Megan.
You're doing good things too. Thank you. I appreciate it. So I want to be mindful of everyone's time. So if you have any other questions for Ruben, please feel free. I will give his information. I'll put it in the chat for you. I'll give you his email. And you can reach out to him. Otherwise, I can always set up a meeting or anything like that. He is a valuable asset to the community for Southern California, not just Orange County or LA. So Sean, I'm going to stop sharing so that you can start. Thank you so much for being here, and I really look forward to your presentation. Oh, you're on mute.
There we go. Okay. Thank you for inviting me. I guess I only have a few minutes, so I'm going to skip over several of the things I wanted to talk about. But I do always like to start with at least briefly checking biases. I share these two photos to make the point that obviously people bring their biases with anything that involves gangs. But the truth is that gangs are a diverse population. It's a long-standing population. And here we have two probably diametrically opposed public images of gangs. You have the Outsiders, Greaser, West Side Story image of gangs, which is this romanticized version that in a lot of ways downplays the very real trauma of what was very real violence in gangs 50, 60 years ago. And on the other hand, we have what are almost always photos of people in Central America presented as if they are gang members in our communities and dehumanized, romanticized in the opposite ways. And I don't even want to say the truth is usually in between these two. The truth is often both of these at the same time. So I'm just going to leave that at there. I'll skip over some of these other things. Another quick thing I want to mention before I move on to some of the details is that the concept of who is a gang member and who should be targeted for gang suppression is much more complicated than many people talk about or believe. In reality, if you look at the diagram on the left, you can see that you have complex overlapping circles of identities with at the very bottom, sophisticated criminal cliques, which I think maybe is something that Ruben would identify with in his story, of people who are deeply involved in gangs, connected to prison gangs, and are part of networks of people that hold each other accountable through the most extreme forms of coercion and violence. But on the other hand, you've got teenagers who become involved with gangs for a year and then drift away. They're usually only socially involved. They have usually no firsthand experience with prison gangs or former prison gang members, right? These are people who just know people who know people who know people, get involved for a short time. And the other thing that the diagram on the left thinks about is that most people do not end their gang experience with death or life in prison. Most people end either by maturing out or by becoming drug addicts in such a way that they're ostracized. So on the other hand, the law approaches gangs as though on the right side, you have law-abiding citizens on one side of a thin blue line, not recognizing the overlapping circles. Below the thin blue line, you've got a paramilitary organization run in Orange County mostly by La MA or the Mexican Mafia, who then have shot callers on the streets, and underneath you have people who take direct orders. That, in fact, is true sometimes for some people, but it is not the experience of most people who are gang involved. So within that context, let me go straight to talking about the 3 or 4 legal issues that the reentry population will have to deal with. The first is gang registry. So most people who are exiting incarceration and have had a gang crime conviction will be required to register with their local police department. This is something just very similar to sex offender registry. So when you are released from jail or prison, a couple weeks to go register. Technically, you're not registering as a gang member. You're just registering as somebody who's been convicted of a gang crime. If you don't, you can be rearrested. I've had problems with some police departments treating these like what they call a debriefing in prison, where gang members are supposed to basically give information to the police. They're not, and this is something that clients have called me about, and I've worked with them on holding police accountable to just do what they're supposed to, which is to track the identifying information, but not push people to give up information about their former associates, their friends, their family members, because it can be dangerous. And those are the sorts of experiences that can make it difficult for people to fully integrate in society. So that's the first thing to think about. Second thing is gang terms probation. Oh, also, an important thing to keep in mind is that most of my clients get completely confused between these 3 or 4 things I'm going to talk about. So it's important to think about them the way the law does, the black and white way that Ruben thought, which is they're separate, sections of the penal code. Okay, so you got your gang registry, gang terms probation. So most people who are on probation or parole who have had a gang conviction will have special terms on their probation or parole. Most important of which, usually in reentry services, is the do not associate, which means they're not allowed to associate with other people who are also either sometimes from just their specific gang or gang members at all. And this can cause real problems with trying to get people from different neighborhoods and different gangs and probationers to do service work together. So I know that generally probation and parole officers are willing to sort of overlook the do not associate rules when people are doing things that they see as productive. I'll tell you, I've had several clients who've gone to Hope Builders who are from different neighborhoods, and has been very successful for them. But technically, they were in violation of their probation terms when they were there. So that's another thing to keep in mind, are the gang terms probations. I've also seen the clothes thing can be an issue too, which is to keep in mind. I had one client who was arrested for wearing a belt buckle with a T on it. It was something he'd had since he was a kid. It was his only belt. So a lot of people are basically expected to completely throw away their entire wardrobe and get new wardrobes upon reentry. Otherwise, they're in violation of these gang terms. So that's something else I find that is often used as a pretext to arrest people who are on probation or parole, to rearrest them. And these things are described as reoffenses when that's not the way they look to me or my clients most of the time, or to many reentry providers. So that's something else for service providers to think about. Third thing is the gang database. So this has been a controversial tool used by law enforcement. You know what, Megan, were we supposed to stop at 11? Am I already out of time?
No, it goes till 11:30. You're good. You've got time.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Good. Well, maybe I'll slow down a little bit. Maybe we can get Ruben to come back and comment on some of the issues I wanted to bring up too. Okay, so gang databases. In Los Angeles, the statewide gang database, CalGang, they've recently pulled out because it has been such a focus of organizing and controversy lately. But databases are basically files that law enforcement agencies keep of who they believe are gang members. But these files are really, little more than guesses. And in fact, if you think back to that complicated diagram of overlapping circles, it can be almost impossible for outsiders to tell exactly where in that ecosystem people fit. So is somebody currently a gang member? Are they a former gang member? There's a lot of former gang members who are not active at all, maybe even moved away from their neighborhood, who still have gang tattoos. What tattoos are gang tattoos? I've seen law enforcement agencies say that anything with a Mexican flag is a gang tattoo because they believe it's a Mexican mafia symbol. And so you might have somebody with a Mexican flag tattoos from Los Angeles who's moved to Orange County, is completely out of the life. But a police officer in Orange County will stop them on a traffic stop, see the tattoo, and document them as a gang member, as a currently active gang member now in Orange County. So really, these are guesses. And the criteria are even things like wearing gang clothes in a gang neighborhood, in a gang area. So police have really unfettered discretion to decide who they want to put in these databases and who they don't. Now, like I said, Los Angeles has pulled out, but virtually every law enforcement agency in Orange County continues to use CalGang, which is the statewide shared gang database. So they can see what other agencies have entered, or who other agencies have entered. And in fact, Orange County is now one of, if not the largest multi-agency user of CalGang. But the law has changed over the last 5 years. Now, when somebody is added to a gang database, they are supposed to get notice. The only exception is if they are a child and if notice to the parent might endanger the child, or if the person is currently subject to an active investigation. But like I said, most of these people are stopped based on, or entered in databases based on traffic stops, or what police describe as consensual stops, or detentions, or for things like drinking in public, or just because there was a call for service on a group of people. So everybody in that area, that's the 95%, 99% of people are put in the database. So they're supposed to get notice. And they're also now given an opportunity to request removal. Unfortunately, in Orange County, the system is not working. So people are able to request removal. And there are some agencies, Santa Ana in the past was reasonably good on this about removing people after they take a second look at the person's case. Many agencies just deny everybody. They look to see whether or not the paperwork was filled out, and if the paperwork was filled out, that's sufficient to deny a request for removal. And then you're able to go to a judge to request that a judge take a look at whether or not that denial was reasonable or not. Really what the judge is supposed to look for is there clear and convincing proof of gang membership? It's not working in Orange County because the courts here have said that actually you don't even have to be a gang member to be in the gang database. You just have to be loosely associated with a gang member or with gangs. So that definition would actually include me. It would definitely include our last speaker. And from what I've heard from you, it would include most of you. Most of you are people who associate with gang members and have some loose, even a loose connection to people who are involved in gangs. So the removal process is not effective in Orange County right now, but that is something that is on appeal. So that is continuing to be evolving law. But one thing I want to really make sure is that people are looking out for when these letters go out. Because the purpose of the letters is twofold. One is to begin this removal process for people who are not gang members at all. But the other real thing is that this is about creating opportunities, particularly for reentry service providers, for gang intervention workers, to find ways for people to engage with their local police department in ways that they present the reasons why they should not be targeted for gang suppression. And it's a way of building a relationship with the gang units in their local police department, resetting the assumptions that police officers will bring about recently released people with gang-involved backgrounds. So think about if you're providing reentry services, think about one, asking if people, especially young people, have gotten notices that they've been included, and ways to use that as tools to help their resocialization process. And two, if you have people who never got notices, but have been involved with gangs in the past, they can actually ask, and am I in the gang database? And if yes, why? And that's important because the letters didn't start going out until 2 or 3 years ago. Anybody who was added before that time would not have gotten a letter. The other thing to think about that is, though, people who have been off the streets for more than 5 years in long prison sentences should be automatically removed while they're incarcerated. So anybody who's recently reentering after 5 years in prison doesn't need to worry about this at all. Let's see. I think that's all I want to say about gang databases. Okay, gang injunctions. So gang injunctions have disappeared almost entirely from California, with the exceptions of Coachella, San Diego, and Orange County. Those are pretty much the only places where there are active enforcements of gang injunctions. It's a process that began in Los Angeles. Los Angeles has completely abandoned them, recognizing that they have been done unconstitutionally since they started. And to do gang injunctions constitutionally is not worth the time. However, Orange County, if I'll be completely candid, I think for nothing but political reasons, continues to have a gang injunction program. So the main change, first let me tell you what a gang injunction is. A gang injunction is essentially a way of putting people on gang terms probation with a couple differences. One, you don't have to commit a crime to be put on a gang injunction. Two, it's for life. And three, it is only enforceable in a certain area. So if you're on gang terms probation and you're not allowed to associate with somebody from your former gang, you can't just go to another city and meet at a bar. But on a gang injunction, two people who are subject to the same gang injunction, say you've got two people in Santa Ana subject to a gang injunction, they could go meet up in Anaheim and they would be fine. They would not be violating the gang injunction. So it's got no end date. It's enforceable only in a certain neighborhood. And other than that, it's very much like gang terms probation. Another key difference is you don't get a public defender when the DA tries to put you on a gang injunction. It's a civil process, so people are generally on their own. And it is a very, very difficult, much more difficult often than criminal procedure for people to navigate. Okay, so that's what a gang injunction is. How do they work in Orange County right now? So there are about a dozen gang injunctions on the books in Orange County. They have not successfully brought any new gang injunctions in the last, I think now it's 7 years. The most recent one is the Townsend Street gang injunction in Santa Ana. So you've got these gang injunctions. The way they worked is the DA sued the gang in civil court. Obviously, who's going to show up and say, I am the leader of the gang in court, and I don't believe there should be a gang injunction, right? That never happens. It has never happened. Sometimes people who are accused of gang show up and say, I'm not a gang member. And sometimes those people are told, well, if you're not a gang member, you're not part of this lawsuit, although they're added later. Other times, public interest lawyers like myself, other civil rights lawyers, the UCI Criminal Justice Clinic, the UCI Immigrants' Rights Clinic, and the ACLU have all appeared at different times to try and challenge these, not on behalf of gangs, but usually on behalf of people saying they're not gang members or on behalf of the community. So DA sues a gang. Nobody shows up to defend themselves. What happens in civil court is if there's a default, you automatically lose. So the gang automatically loses and the gang injunction goes into effect. So then the next question is, who is subject to the gang injunction? And it used to be anybody the police said was a gang member could then be arrested for violating any of the terms of the injunction. And again, the terms of the injunction are can't wear certain clothes, can't associate with gang members, curfew. What are the most commonly violated ones? Do not associate, no drinking in public, or no in public view. So that also means, at birthday parties, if the party's on the front lawn or if it's in the driveway, or in a bar for that matter. So who is subject to those terms? It used to be anybody the police said was a gang member was automatically now arrestable if they violated any of those terms. What the courts have said is that is unconstitutional, that due process requires everybody gets a day in court before they're subject to the gang injunction. So Orange County has been handling this by going after first, I think what they probably describe out of court as the low-hanging fruit. And those are people who have admitted gang membership, usually as part of a plea deal. So what happens is somebody gets arrested, often for a misdemeanor. They are offered, look, here's your deal. Either you can fight this, take it to the box, to the jury. You will probably lose, and you will probably do, 2 to 5 years in prison. Wobblers are misdemeanors that can be charged as felonies. So that's what they're told is worst case scenario. Or you can plead guilty, admit that you're a gang member, give us your fingerprints and DNA sample, and we'll let you out on 2-year or 3-year supervised probation. So that's a pretty typical plea deal. So the person takes the plea deal. Yes, I get out right now. Like you get out right now, 3 years probation. You've already done, 30 days waiting for trial. We'll call it time served and let you go. And then right before they leave or right after they leave, they're handed a piece of paper saying, you now have a court date in civil court where we're going to add you to a gang injunction unless you can prove you're not a gang member. And of course, there's no way to prove you're not a gang member if you just admitted in writing that you are a gang member in order to get the probation deal. So people don't usually know that they're being set up for gang injunctions when they're taking these probation deals. And it's also not everybody, right? It's only for people who are pleading, are admitting to gang membership in gangs that currently have gang injunctions that are being prosecuted. The main ones that I see the most are Barrio Viejo in South Orange County, Fullerton Tokerstown in Fullerton, and in Santa Ana, the Townsend Street gang injunction. Although there are a few others where people pop up. But those are the ones that the DA has been concentrating most on. So those people, there's really not much that can be done, except I have a case that's in the appeal court that's asking, what is the point of putting somebody on a gang injunction if they're already on gang terms probation with the exact same terms. And this is why I say that I think, why I'm skeptical that this is actually a public safety tool at all, is if everybody who's being put on a gang injunction is already on identical probation terms, in some ways that are better because there's a probation officer or a parole officer they've got to check in with, whereas gang injunction, there's no direct supervision. So you've got this better tool already in place. Why are you asking for this not as effective tool? But that's the way it's working. We've recently seen 2 or 3 people who are being added to injunctions who are not in that situation. But judges in the past have been very skeptical of adding those people to gang injunctions. They're saying, if you can't even prove this person has committed a crime, why should we subject them to such serious liberty infringements? So we'll see what happens with those. But that's the state of gang injunctions right now in Orange County. You know what? First, I was going to speak a little bit here, I think, about how this looks to people who are re-entering. But I think maybe instead, with limited time, I'd like to sort of open this up to questions and also maybe see if Ruben wants to weigh in a little bit on that piece, which is what are the ways that we should be concerned that these gang suppression tools can make it harder for people to re-enter society. And so with that, I will stop sharing and open this up for questions.
Awesome, thank you, Sean. It was super informative. You made it a lot more, you simplified it, so it makes it easier to understand. I always was confused, kind of like the clients and people that you serve, so I really appreciate you simplifying it for us. And Ruben was, we were on mute, of course, out of respect, and he was kept commenting back and forth about different things that you were presenting on, so I'll go ahead and let him.
No, great presentation, by the way. I really know what it really comes down to is, understanding what does it mean to, what does community safety mean, right? Because a lot of these injunctions and so forth are what created under the umbrella that communities were going to be a lot safer. And so we need to look at the data to see if that's true and what, and where these, high crime areas are at and the reason why it's such a high crime area. So I personally I was the 3rd individual in the city of Los Angeles to receive the gang Junction letter. So, I understand personally how that was. And it was a little bit, it made the officers that was tracking me a lot easier to kind of control my movement. But it didn't, for me, it wasn't like, it was an effective tool because I was able to move outside the certain area that was restricting me and became more familiar and kind of allowed me to operate in a greater distance. So I think we need to get back to understanding what does community safety mean and how can we make the community a better and safer way using methods that are effective.
Yeah, I think in my experience working with people transitioning out of gangs is that when it has been most effective is when people are able to do some soul searching. Your idea of a desert healing place is amazing. I once did a sweat with Luis Rodriguez, who you mentioned, and it was a life-changing experience. And everybody I've ever talked to who's done it has also described it that way. So what people have to do is they have to have a greater understanding of themselves. And usually that means addressing a lifetime of neglect and a lack of safety. And so I think a precondition for really fully understand, like being who you are as a human, realizing your potential, re-entering society, and no longer being a danger to the people around you. Those things happen when people experience safety for themselves. And to that extent, targeting people who are, a lot of my clients have just had kids and are trying to turn their life around for their kids, have just got out of jail, are trying not to go back, right? These people who are on that, making them feel less safe by targeting them for confrontational police encounters doesn't help. In fact, it backfires. Now, when there are no services provided, when there is no reentry services, when people, you know, the old sort of thing, you got left out with a bus ticket at the door, and then you were on your own, right? In those situations, it's possible that this sort of gang suppression was better than nothing. But that's not the situation we have anymore right now. Right now, we have a situation where California is really investing in organizations like yours in order to provide something better. And police need to, and law enforcement, the DAs, need to recognize that as those things happen, public safety is served by them stepping back, focusing on investigating serious crimes, and realizing that they have partners now, and that some of these old techniques, like gang injunctions, they're not serving the public anymore, and they need to be dropped.
Yes, thank you, Sean. Does anybody have any questions for Sean before we move into the wrapping up and updates that I'm going to share for some individuals that couldn't join us today, and just some other updates that for some people who are here, I just have their flyer up just to give them everyone a visual. It'll also be in the meeting minutes.
I have a question.
Yes, Charles.
I have a question, and it's for Sean. Scenario: if you're released from prison, or while you're in prison, you're identified as a gang member based on your association, is a totally different process because how they house you through the classification process, I mean, it's sort of segregated. And a lot of times where I am an inactive gang member, so let's get that out of the way. But for the most part, while I was in prison, I was documented as a gang member, and then it was validated, blah, blah, blah. However, when I got out, I was under gang terms, under parole, and even as far as traffic stops, whenever an officer would pull me over, a supervisor would have to show up as well because of the high control parole. How do you find out after 5 years if you are on the list? Because I actually tried to rent a U-Haul truck and was informed that I was like on some terrorist watch list, and had no clue. So I guess what I'm asking you, you have no idea what an officer is thinking when they pull you over based on I've been working, I go to school now, and here's this attitude that I'm confronted with as on paper, and I'm a violent offender, but I'm not that person. So how do you bridge that gap in terms of being able to not only dispel some of the myths, but to have your name removed from any list that's out there? And how do you know what's out there?
Mm-hmm. So this is definitely evolving law. It's only been 5 years that the legislature has started saying, you know what, we need laws to address these issues. And they are not always enforced. Police agencies frequently don't know the new rules that they're supposed to be operating under, and the rules have giant loopholes in them still. So first, so security threat group validations in prison are used to decide housing, like you said, because we don't want people afraid to admit things that will help keep prisons orderly and keep them safe. Whatever validations are done in prison are not supposed to be shared outside of the prison. So we want people to say, yeah, no, I grew up in a rolling 60s neighborhood, put me this, right? But we don't want people who make that statement to stay safe to have that follow them outside once they're released. So the law says that these security threat group validations in prison are not supposed to be allowed out. The big loophole in that, though, is that parole officers and often probation officers still look at those prison databases saying, oh, but we're not a law enforcement agency under the law, so they're not breaking the law by sharing that information with us, which I think is not true, but that is often what there's a big hole. And there's nothing you can do about what CDCR says about your validation. There's just no process for looking at that. Second, you've got these database systems. So for example, the CalGang system is the largest in place, but there was also a federal system that for many years was called the Violent Gang and Terrorist File.
Yes.
And it combined Al-Qaeda with street gang members, and it was part of the NCIC file. So if people would swipe a driver's license, if that was set up as a hot file by that police department, it would come up.
Okay.
The FBI is supposed to have changed a lot of that. Very few law enforcement agencies that I've talked to use that database as what's called a hot file, where it would come up when they're just scanning driver's licenses. The people who did it said, you know what? We had so many people the same name, you know, that it's a national database. Somewhere out there, there's another Charles Harris, right?
Yes.
And it was useless, they found. So that one seems to have disappeared, but it's still out there, and it might be checked by U-Haul. I know there are people at Homeboy Industries who've gone to go to the White House and have been turned away at the door, being told they're on the national database still. So it's still out there. CalGang is used very commonly in Orange County. It's not used, like I said, much outside of it anymore. But that's because there's a big loophole there, which is that as long as agencies don't share their information outside of the agency, they can keep whatever they want, and they can keep it secret. So you can ask, and this works well in Orange County, you go to your local police department, am I on the gang database and why? And they will have to tell you, unless you're under investigation for a specific crime right then. The why is usually pretty vague, but you can look at that and you can try and take part in the removal process. But then there's the databases that they don't share. So whatever the agency's local records management system is, whatever they've got going. My personal belief is that the reason LAPD has pulled out of CalGang is because they have this Palantir system that does the same thing better. So why keep CalGang if they've got a better software system? So in those cases, there's really nothing you can do. So the other thing is, instead of looking at the law and the systems, the other way to really try to think about resetting your relationship with the local police department is by getting to know the gang unit that's most likely to either pull you over or your clients over, or to get called out if you're pulled over. So say you get pulled over, they run you, they see that you're a gang member. Often then they're going to call out the gang unit if the gang unit knows you. And I don't know if that works for you, Mr. Harris, but it works for a lot of my clients. And especially in areas like places like housing projects that have community safety partnership, which is not something in Orange County, but it's something in LA that works well. But there are other community-based policing initiatives in Orange County that can prove to be, bridges. So I don't know. Thank you for your question.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, and thanks for asking questions, Charles. So we got a few more minutes left, and so I just want to be mindful of everyone's time. So thank you all for being with us today for since we started Orange County CAP, and for really the important partnership that the Orange County Sheriff's Department and Commander Belenky, I have you to thank. I appreciate everything that you are doing for us, and we look forward to it finally turning orange so that we can start going into the jails and spreading the word about the lived experience speaker program, being able to reach individuals within before they come out, because we all know that that is the critical thing, and it's more about the messenger than it is about the message. And so again, thank you, Commander Belenky, and to all the ROI speakers that have spoke with us, share their story with us. Derek, you raised your hand.
Yes, Megan, if you wouldn't mind, can we take 20 to 30 seconds just to introduce Karina and Kenesha with our Reentry to Success? It's our prison to employment program here at Working Wardrobes. They joined a little later, so I just wanted to see if they could take 30 seconds.
Yeah, of course.
All right, thank you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Kenesha Humphrey. I am a career navigator with our Reentry to Success program at Working Wardrobes. If you have anyone that is interested in receiving a reentry services through our program, please feel free to reach out to me or Karina. My email address is KenishaH@workingwardrobes.org. And my telephone number is 714-210-2460, extension 319.
Awesome, thank you. Would you also mind putting that in the chat box?
Sure.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I am also a career navigator for the Reentry to Success program at Working Wardrobes. We focus on the job development and job search as well as skills training. We will be going soon into the jails, hopefully, so I know that was mentioned towards the end. So we're excited to learn more about this. And my only question, like Derek mentioned, we came in towards the end. If there will be like a group messaging for all of the attendees that were on today. I recognize some of the names that I've been reaching out to recently, but it'd be nice to get in contact with more people that are specifically working with this population.
Of course, yeah. So either today or tomorrow, most likely tomorrow, I will be setting out the meeting minutes, and anyone that was a part of this meeting, their contact information will be shared as a group. For those of you who are new, as long as you put your contact information in the chat box, I will add you to our distribution list. So any notification you can share with us. We also have a LinkedIn group that you can join, and it's specifically for members of CAP, Orange County CAP. So it's shared within the network, so you can also find the group. That's also in the meeting minute recap, so that you can click directly and go there too. So yeah, you share any information there, and you can also email me. My email is megan@human-works.org, and I can share any information with the rest of the group too that way. So thank you, ladies. I'm happy to have you here. And for the last meeting of 2020, we won't be starting until January. So Derek, I have the VetNet program, which I also know, with the Humvee program with Commander Balecki and his team. So if anyone has a vet, and you can also, here's this information here for you that they have. There is a referral process, so I can share that form with you via the meeting notes, so you guys will all have that information. So you can share that. So we have, like I said, the Life Programs Resource Fair. So they have their first one coming up on the 9th, and then their second one on the 16th. So if you, Tara or Anne-Marie, I don't know if you guys still need any participants or any programs to help come share their services. Let us know, at least they know they can get your contact information if they'd also like it to present, because I think that's really important that we're all sharing a pool of resources, because one doesn't always do what the other one does, so it's always good to kind of share those resources. We don't have anyone from UCI. Last I heard, they, with the story sharing project, that was going on until was it November, possibly December, but I know it's definitely up until Thanksgiving. So if you have any clients that are just impacted and it pertains to finding fees, please have them share their story. They can contact them, they can call them. That's probably the easiest way. Or there's a link. That's going to be in the meeting minutes again. That will take them directly, and they can fill out the form so that they can share their story for their amicus groups, because this is really important to help those that can't pay those fines and fees. This was the Assembly Bill 1859 that is going to be in effect July 1st of 2021 that Stacy Tutt at UCI shared with us. So I have this information in the meeting notes as well for you guys. Again, just trying to be mindful of everyone's time. So Jennifer, I have your information right here on the slide, or has your state cell phone on there about the clothing. If you guys have anything, I know they sell the men's clothing. Please make sure it's fresh freshly laundered. They also, with Santa Ana College, the career exploration that's going on until December 16th. So it's Wednesdays from 4 to 5:30 via Zoom. Also, here again is for those who are joining late, the free medical clinic for parolees. It's November 16th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And again, this is all general medical needs. Jennifer is amazing, so she was able to work with families together in Orange County. And so this is going to be once a month at the Anaheim location for the rest of 2020, so November, December. But then going into 2021, she's going to have it at both the Anaheim and the Irvine rural offices. Also, I don't want to forget that she started doing her virtual parole meetings. And so this is the information. If you want to present, I'm actually assisting Jennifer with this. So here's the meeting information. Let me know if you want to present anything to the parolees. You can either come to my office, just give me a heads up, or you can also present virtually to the parolees. And it was really successful. Jennifer, the first meeting that we had this month. So thank you all. Also, any meetings for NA, there's this information. It's been happening on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and it's been going really well. So labor finders, they pay at the end of every day. It takes 1 day for them to enroll you. They're looking for workers. So if you have anyone that kind of needs cash now sort of situation, they really just need work boots. That would be anything. So just to kind of share an additional resource with the group. Also, some of you may or may not know, but I do community outreach for Benicanas, and so they are looking to restaff in both Orange County and LA as they're opening up, specifically trying to fill line cooks and also train people for teppanyaki chefs. Here's the flyer. I'll share it at the meeting notes. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me directly. Last meeting of 2020, wow, what a year. Thank you all for joining. I can't wait to see you at the last Wednesday of every month starting on January 27th of 2021. Such a weird surprise. Okay. So I believe, Lori, you had something you wanted to share. If there's anything else, anyone else wanted to share, now is the time.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to let you guys know of a financial fitness boot camp that my company is having tonight via Zoom. And it's a $50 value ticket, but I'd like to donate tickets to anybody that in this group that would like to attend tonight. So just reach out to me at 714-658-8998. I put the information in the chat so we can get you the information. It's going to be an amazing content of information. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lori. Does anybody else have any other updates they'd like to share that they didn't share at the beginning? No? All right. Well, thank you all for an amazing year despite all the challenges of COVID and social distancing and fires. I mean, what else can we say? Thank you all for all the community work that you do each and every day. You do more than what you think you do. When you're feeling down and exhausted, just remember the success stories that you have and how those success stories radically impact the community and really help them. Thank you to Ruben for sharing his story. It's very special for him to come and speak for me today. And thank you, Sean, for your amazing presentation. I really appreciate it to help inform those in the community about how this is really affecting a good portion of our clients that we serve. So thank you all again. I really appreciate it, and please feel free to reach out to me if you ever need I'm always available. I pretty much respond as quickly as I can, usually within a day. So please let me know if you need help connecting to anyone in the community, or you just want to share your resources with the community, and I'm more than happy to post it, not just on HumanWorks, but also the CAP social media accounts. So again, thank you so much, everyone, and bye-bye 2020. I got your finally over in CAP world at least.